Listen to me right now. Somebody needs to hear this. You're out here looking at somebody else's life, scrolling, watching, comparing, feeling like you're behind. Stop. Right now, you were not built to be them. You were built to be you. See, the problem is you're spending so much time looking at somebody else's journey that you're missing out on yours. You're looking at their success, their relationships, their achievements, thinking, why not me? But let me tell you something. Their path ain't your path. Their blessing ain't your blessing. Their story ain't your story. You don't know what they went through. You don't know the late nights, the pain, the sacrifices. You see the highlight reel, but you don't see the blood, the sweat, the tears behind it. And let's be real, while you're out here wishing for their life, you're not putting in the work for your own. See, success ain't about wishing. It's about work. It's about grit. It's about waking up every single day and saying, I'm going to be better than I was yesterday. You want to compare? Compare yourself to the you from last week, last month, last year. Did you grow? Did you push? Did you fight for your dream? That's the only competition that matters. So today, right now, make the decision. Never in your life compare your life. Run your race. Stay in your lane. Focus on your purpose, your grind, your greatness. Because when you lock in on you, there ain't no limit to what you can do. Now get up, get to work, and go be great. Your path is unique. Nobody else in this world has lived your exact experiences, faced your exact challenges, or been given your exact set of talents, skills, and opportunities. The moment you start looking at someone else's journey and measuring your life against theirs, you rob yourself of the opportunity to fully embrace your own. See, the problem isn't that people admire others or take inspiration from them. The problem is that they allow comparison to make them feel like they're not enough, like they're behind, like they're failing just because someone else appears to be ahead. But here's the truth. There is no ahead when your path is different. Think about it. No two people start from the exact same place. Some people are born into wealth, while others have to grind for every dollar. Some have natural talents that give them an advantage in certain areas, while others have to develop those skills over time. Some people get opportunities early, while others have to wait years before their moment arrives. But does that mean one person is better than the other? Absolutely not. It just means the journey is different. The problem is that society has trained us to believe that success is a straight line, that by a certain age you should have accomplished certain things, that if you're not married by 30, if you don't own a home by 35, if you don't have a six-figure salary by 40, then you're failing. But who made those rules? Who decided that success has an age limit, that dreams have deadlines? The biggest mistake people make is believing that someone else's timeline should be theirs. They see their peers getting promotions, buying houses, traveling the world, and instead of celebrating them, they start questioning themselves. Why am I not there yet? What am I doing wrong? Maybe I'm not good enough. That kind of thinking will destroy you. It will steal your joy, shake your confidence, and keep you stuck in a cycle of doubt and self-pity. The truth is, your journey is designed for you. The lessons you need to learn, the growth you need to experience, the obstacles you need to overcome, they are all a part of your unique story. And no one else can walk that path but you. What people forget is that every single person's life looks different behind closed doors. You might see someone living what looks like a dream life on social media, but you don't see the struggles they're facing in private. You don't see the nights they cry themselves to sleep, the sacrifices they make, the fears and insecurities they battle. You don't see the hard work that goes into what they have. You just see the results. And comparing your reality to their highlight reel is one of the most dangerous things you can do. Too many people are wasting their lives chasing someone else's definition of success instead of focusing on what truly makes them happy. They pick careers because they think it looks impressive. They buy things just to keep up with others. They make life decisions based on what will get them the most validation instead of what will bring them true fulfillment. But at the end of the day, if you're not happy, what's the point? What good is success if it doesn't align with who you are? What good is reaching a goal if it was never your goal to begin with? The most successful people in this world are the ones who understand that their path is their own. They don't waste time worrying about what everyone else is doing. They don't feel pressure to move at someone else's speed. They don't get discouraged just because someone else reached a milestone before them. They stay focused, they stay disciplined, and they stay true to themselves. That's why they win, because instead of running someone else's race, they run their own. You have to understand that your path isn't supposed to look like anyone else's. Your struggles, your wins, your setbacks, your breakthroughs, they are all shaping you into the person you're meant to become. Every delay, every challenge, every unexpected turn is part of a bigger plan. And the sooner you accept that, the more peace you'll find in your journey. There is no behind. There is no too late. There is only your time. And when it comes, you will realize that every single step, no matter how difficult, was leading you exactly where you were meant to be. You don't see their struggle. It's the biggest mistake people make when they compare their lives to others. They look at the success, the achievements, the lifestyle, the wins, but they don't see what it took to get there. They don't see the late nights, the sacrifices, the failures, the tears, the moments of doubt, the times when that same person wanted to give up but kept going anyway. People look at the finished product and assume it was always that way. But that's not how life works. Every great success story has a behind-the-scenes version that most people will never know about. It's easy to admire someone at the top, but would you be willing to endure what they endured to get there? Would you be willing to lose sleep, work weekends, miss out on social events, face rejection, and push through failures over and over again? Because that's what it takes. Nobody reaches the top without going through the struggle. Nobody builds something great without paying a price for it. But when people compare, they ignore that part. They just see the outcome and assume that it must have come easy, that the person they're comparing themselves to must have had some unfair advantage, some shortcut, some special privilege that made it easier for them. But the truth is, most successful people have been through more pain, more failures, more struggles than you could ever imagine. The problem with social media, with highlight reels, with the way success is presented in society today is that it only shows the wins. People celebrate achievements, but they don't talk about the sacrifices. They show the new car, but not the years of financial discipline. They show the dream relationship, but not the arguments, the hard conversations, the work it takes to build something real. They show the promotion, but not the years of struggle, the moments of doubt, the risks they had to take. And because people only see the final result, they assume that's all there is. They assume that success should be smooth, that growth should be easy, that if they're struggling, they must be doing something wrong. But that's not how it works. Every single person you admire, every single person you compare yourself to has struggled in ways you will never fully know. Think about some of the greatest athletes in the world. You see them win championships, break records, become legends. But what you don't see is the 4 a.m. workouts, the injuries, the moments when they doubted themselves, the times they failed and had to get back up. You don't see the sacrifices they made, the times they missed out on family events, the relentless discipline it took to reach that level. And it's the same in every industry, every profession, every area of life. The people who make it look easy are the ones who have worked the hardest. The people who are great at what they do have put in more hours, more effort, more sacrifice than anyone else. And yet people compare themselves to these individuals without understanding what they had to endure. They see the millionaire and think, I wish I had that kind of money, but would they be willing to put in the years of work, take the risks, face the failures, and deal with the stress that comes with building wealth? They see the fit and healthy person and think, I wish I looked like that. But would they be willing to wake up early, eat clean, train consistently, and push themselves every single day? They see the successful entrepreneur and think, I wish I had their lifestyle. But would they be willing to endure the sleepless nights, the financial struggles, the uncertainty, the years of grinding before they saw any results? This is why comparison is dangerous. Because when you compare, you assume that the other person had it easier, that they somehow skipped the struggle, that success came to them without pain. But that's never the case. Every single person who has achieved something great has a story of struggle behind it. The difference is they didn't let the struggle stop them. They didn't quit when it got hard. They didn't let failure define them. They kept pushing, kept growing, kept working, even when nobody was watching. People love to admire success, but they rarely ask, what did it take to get there? They rarely think about the sacrifices, the failures, the disappointments that came before the win. They rarely consider that the person they're comparing themselves to has been through their own battles, their own moments of doubt, their own struggles. And if they did, they would stop comparing and start focusing on their own path. Because the truth is, everyone struggles. Everyone has their own challenges, their own setbacks, their own difficulties. The difference is some people push through and keep going while others let comparison and self-doubt hold them back. When you compare yourself to someone else, you're comparing your struggles to their success. You're looking at where they are now without knowing what they had to go through to get there. And that's not fair to you. It's not fair to measure your progress against someone else's journey when you don't know the full story. You don't see the obstacles they had to overcome. You don't see the failures they had to learn from. You don't see the sacrifices they made. You just see the success and you assume that you should be there too. But success isn't just about the outcome. It's about the process. It's about what happens in the dark when nobody's watching. It's about the pain, the struggle, the resilience it takes to keep going when everything seems to be against you. The people who succeed are not the ones who had it easy. They are the ones who refuse to quit. They are the ones who embrace the struggle instead of running from it. They are the ones who understood that pain is part of the process, that failure is a stepping stone, that setbacks are temporary. And because they kept going, they reached levels that most people only dream of. The question is, are you willing to do the same? Are you willing to embrace the struggle, to go through the hard times, to keep pushing even when it feels like nothing is working? Because if you are, then success will come. But if you spend your time comparing instead of working, doubting instead of believing, envying instead of grinding, you will stay stuck. Because the truth is, the struggle is what makes the success worth it. The pain is what builds the strength. The failures are what create the lessons that lead to growth. And when you finally reach your goal, when you finally achieve what you've been working for, it won't be because it was easy. It will be because you endured, because you didn't give up, because you fought through the struggle that most people would have run from. Comparison kills progress. It steals time, energy, and focus from the things that truly matter. When you spend your time looking at what someone else is doing, you take time away from what you should be doing. You shift your energy from building your own life to analyzing someone else's, and that's the quickest way to lose momentum. Every second you waste comparing yourself to another person is a second you could have spent improving, working, and becoming better. The mind is powerful, and whatever you focus on grows. If you focus on someone else's success, you'll start to feel like yours isn't enough. If you focus on someone else's progress, you'll start to feel like you're behind. If you focus on what you don't have, you'll start to believe you're lacking, even when you're not. People don't realize how much damage comparison does. It starts small, just a little thought here and there. Why am I not where they are? Why did I have what they have? Then over time, that thought grows into frustration. It turns into resentment. It turns into a mindset of scarcity where you believe that because someone else has something, you can't have it too. And that's the biggest lie. Success is not limited. There is enough room for everyone to win. But when you compare, you start believing that someone else's win is your loss. That's when jealousy creeps in. That's when self-doubt takes over. That's when you stop seeing what's great about your own life because you're too focused on what's great about someone else's. Progress requires focus, and comparison destroys focus. You cannot move forward if your eyes are always on the next person. You cannot build momentum if your energy is tied up in what other people are doing. The only way to get better is to lock in on yourself, to block out the noise, the distractions, the constant need to measure up to someone else's journey. But most people don't do that. They get caught up in watching and scrolling and checking where they stand compared to others. They look at social media, at friends, at colleagues, and instead of using those things as motivation, they use them as evidence that they're not enough. Comparison is a silent killer. It kills dreams before they even start. It kills confidence before it even has a chance to grow. It kills motivation before it turns into action. People stop chasing their goals, not because they aren't capable, but because they convince themselves it's too late, they're too far behind, someone else has already done it better. But none of that is true. Progress is personal. Success is personal. Your growth has nothing to do with what anyone else is doing. The only question that matters is, are you better than you were yesterday? If the answer is yes, then you're on the right path. If the answer is no, then that's where your energy should go. Not to someone else's achievements, not to their timeline, but to your own development. There's a reason why the greatest athletes, the greatest entrepreneurs, the greatest artists all have the same mindset. They don't compete with others. They compete with themselves. They measure their progress by where they were a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. They don't waste energy trying to keep up with someone else's pace because they know that everyone's journey is different. They understand that success isn't about being the best compared to someone else. It's about being the best version of yourself. That's the key. That's the mindset that leads to real lasting success. But comparison tricks you into thinking otherwise. It makes you believe that if you're not winning at the same level as someone else, you're losing. That's why people give up so easily. They don't stop because they're incapable. They stop because they believe they're too far behind. But behind who? Who are you actually racing? There is no finish line. There is no deadline for success. The only thing that matters is that you're moving forward, even if it's slow, even if it doesn't look like much right now. Progress is progress. The danger of comparison is that it makes you focus on someone else's chapter 20 when you're still on chapter 3. You look at their success without seeing the years of work that went into it. You see the rewards, but you don't see the sacrifices. And because of that, you start believing that your journey isn't working, that your progress isn't enough. But success is never instant. It's built over time through effort, discipline, and consistency. And when you compare, you rob yourself of the patience required to reach your own goals. You start rushing, you start forcing things, you start making decisions based on what looks good instead of what actually aligns with your purpose. And that's when people lose themselves. That's when they burn out, when they quit too soon, when they abandon their own vision just because they think someone else's is better. The truth is, the only thing that truly matters is your own growth. Not how fast someone else is moving, not what someone else has achieved, just you, your journey, your progress. The moment you stop comparing is the moment you start winning. Because real success isn't about beating someone else. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. And that is something no one else can do for you. Work, don't wish. That's the difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck. Wishing doesn't move you forward. Wishing doesn't change your situation. Wishing doesn't put food on the table, money in the bank, or purpose in your life. Too many people are sitting around hoping that something will change, waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for motivation to strike, waiting for the perfect moment. But waiting is the enemy of progress. You can't wish your way to success. You have to work for it. Every single person who has achieved something great in life got there through effort, discipline, and sacrifice. They didn't sit around hoping things would get better. They got up, put in the time, and did what needed to be done, even when they didn't feel like it. That's the difference between the winners and the watchers. The winners are out there grinding every day, putting in the work when no one is watching, staying disciplined when it would be easier to quit. The watchers, they're the ones scrolling, complaining, envying, making excuses. They're the ones saying, I wish I had what they had, instead of doing what it takes to get it. People love the idea of success, but they don't love the process. They want the rewards without the struggle. They want the money, the freedom, the respect, but they don't want to wake up early, stay late, push through exhaustion, sacrifice their comfort, and keep going when it gets hard. That's why so many people stay exactly where they are. They think about success more than they work for. They fantasize about what life could be instead of taking action to make it happen. But thinking isn't enough. Wishing isn't enough. Dreaming isn't enough. The only thing that will ever move you forward is effort. The most dangerous mindset you can have is believing that success will somehow find you. That if you just wait long enough, if you just hope hard enough, things will change. It doesn't work like that. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to hand you the life you want. If you want it, you have to build it. If you want to be successful, you have to be willing to do what others won't. That means working when you don't feel like it. That means sacrificing distractions. That means staying committed even when the results aren't showing yet. The reason most people fail is not because they aren't capable. It's because they aren't consistent. They start strong, but the moment it gets tough, they put in effort for a week, a month, maybe even a year. But when they don't see instant results, they give up. Success doesn't work on your timeline. You don't get to decide when the breakthrough happens. All you can control is the work you put in every single day. And if you keep showing up, if you keep grinding, if you keep pushing, even when it feels like nothing is happening, eventually something will. But you'll never get there if you quit too soon. People waste years of their lives waiting for motivation, but motivation is unreliable. Some days you'll feel it, some days you won't. The people who succeed are not the ones who always feel motivated. They're the ones who stay disciplined. They show up on the days when they don't want to. They put in the effort when it's inconvenient. They keep going when their mind is telling them to stop. That's what separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't. Because anybody can work when they feel like it, but real growth happens when you work when you don't. Winners don't make excuses. They don't waste time blaming their circumstances, their past, or the obstacles in their way. They understand that life is unfair, that challenges will come, that setbacks are inevitable. But they refuse to let any of that stop them. They don't wait for the perfect conditions because they know the perfect conditions don't exist. They start with what they have. They do what they can. They take the first step, even when they don't feel ready. Most people never reach their full potential because they spend too much time wishing things were different instead of working to make them different. They wish they had more time, but they waste the time they do have. They wish they had more money, but they don't do anything to increase their income. They wish they were in better shape, but they don't change their habits. Wishing is easy, working is hard. And that's why so many people stay stuck, because they choose easy over effort. They choose comfort over growth. They choose short-term pleasure over long-term success. If you want to win, you have to be willing to outwork everyone around you. You have to be willing to do the things that other people are too lazy to do. You have to be willing to go all in, to commit at a level that most people never will, because that's what it takes. Success is not for the wishers, it's for the workers. The people who don't just talk about their goals, they execute. The people who don't just dream about a better life, they build it. The people who don't just hope for opportunities, they create them. That's what separates the elite from the average. That's what determines who makes it and who doesn't. The reality is you're either making progress or you're making excuses. You're either working or you're wishing. You're either pushing forward or you're staying stuck. And every day you make that choice. Every single day you decide whether you're going to be the person who waits or the person who works. And that choice will determine everything about your future. Your journey is unique. No one else has lived your life. No one else has walked in your shoes, faced your struggles, or experienced the exact same challenges that you have. So why would you compare yourself to someone else? Why would you measure your progress against a path that was never meant for you? The biggest mistake people make is thinking that success has one formula, one timeline, one path. It doesn't. Everyone moves at their own pace. Everyone grows in their own time. Everyone has a different set of obstacles to overcome, lessons to learn, and experiences to shape them. The danger of comparison is that it makes you question your own journey. It makes you doubt yourself. It makes you feel like you're behind when in reality, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Just because someone else reached a milestone before you doesn't mean you're failing. Just because someone else is achieving success in a way that looks different from yours doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. The worst thing you can do is rush your own progress just because you see someone else getting ahead. Growth is not a race. There is no finish line. The only thing that matters is that you are moving forward. Think about how ridiculous it would be if a tree compared itself to a flower. They are both growing, but they have completely different processes. A tree takes years to grow strong roots, to develop its branches, to reach its full height. A flower blooms quickly, but it also fades more quickly. Would you rather grow fast and disappear just as fast? Or would you rather take the time to build something strong? Something that lasts. That's the problem with comparison. It tricks you into believing that faster is better, that more is better, that someone else's success is the standard you should live by, but your life isn't theirs. Your purpose isn't theirs. Your growth isn't supposed to look like anyone else's. Some people hit success early in life. They find their calling at a young age. They build something great. They reach their goals fast, but others take longer. Some people don't find their true purpose until their 30s, 40s, or even 50s. Some people take years of trial and error before they finally figure out what they're meant to do. And that's okay, because life is not about speed, it's about direction. Are you moving toward the life you want? Are you becoming a better version of yourself every day? If the answer is yes, then you're on the right path. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter if other people get there before you. What matters is that you don't stop. The problem with social media, with society, with the way success is presented today is that it makes you feel like you have to have everything figured out immediately. It makes you feel like if you're not successful by a certain age, you've failed. But that's not true. Success has no age limit. Growth has no deadline. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. The only reason you feel like you're not is because you're looking at someone else's journey instead of focusing on your own. When you compare, you forget how far you've come. You forget the obstacles you've overcome, the lessons you've learned, the progress you've made. You focus so much on what you don't have that you don't appreciate what you do have. But if you take a step back and look at your own journey, you'll see that you've grown. You've evolved. You've made it through things that once seemed impossible. And that's what matters. Not how fast someone else is moving, not how successful they seem, but your own progress, your own growth, your own unique path. Everyone's timeline is different. Some people get married young. Some people find love later in life. Some people build businesses in their 20s. Some people become successful entrepreneurs in their 50s. Some people figure out their passion early. Some people spend years searching for what truly fulfills them. None of those paths are wrong. None of those paths are better than the other. They are simply different. And that's why comparison is pointless, because no two lives are meant to be the same. The only competition you should ever have is with yourself. Are you better than you were yesterday? Are you learning, improving, growing? If the answer is yes, then you're winning. That's all that matters. But the moment you start comparing, the moment you start measuring yourself against someone else's progress, you lose focus. You lose motivation. You start doubting yourself instead of believing in yourself. And that's how people get stuck, not because they aren't capable, but because they convince themselves that they're not good enough, that they're too far behind, that they'll never catch up. But catch up to what? To who? There is no finish line in life. There is no universal timeline that says you have to accomplish certain things by a certain age. The only thing that matters is that you keep moving forward at your own pace on your own path. Your journey is yours alone. No one else can live it for you. No one else can dictate what it should look like. And the moment you embrace that, the moment you stop looking to the side and start focusing on your own lane, that's when you truly start to win. Self-worth is not determined by comparison. Too many people tie their value to how they measure up against others. They look at someone else's success, someone else's achievements, someone else's lifestyle, and they use it as a scale to judge their own worth. But your value isn't based on what someone else is doing. It isn't based on how much money you have compared to the next person, how many followers you have, how successful you look on the outside. Your worth is already in you. It's not something that can be taken away just because someone else is ahead of you. The problem is society teaches you to measure yourself against others from a young age. In school, you're graded on a curve. You're ranked against your classmates. In sports, you compete to be the best. On social media, you're constantly exposed to highlight reels of other people's lives, making it easy to feel like you don't measure up. It becomes second nature to compare, to ask yourself, am I good enough? Am I doing enough? Am I successful enough? Based on what everyone else is doing. But that mindset is a trap. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you focused on what you lack instead of what you bring to the table. Think about this. If a diamond is sitting in the dirt, does it lose its value? No, it's still a diamond. Its worth doesn't change just because it's surrounded by something else. But if that diamond starts believing that the dirt defines it, if it starts thinking, I'm just part of the ground, I'm nothing special, then it forgets its true value. That's what happens when you compare yourself. You forget what makes you unique. You stop seeing your own greatness because you're too focused on someone else's. But just because someone else is shining doesn't mean you can't. Just because someone else has found success doesn't mean there isn't success waiting for you. The problem with comparison is that it makes you feel like you're always lacking something. You start believing that if you just had what they have, if you just look like them, if you just live like them, then you'd be happy. But happiness doesn't come from trying to be someone else. It comes from fully embracing who you are. It comes from recognizing your own strengths, your own talents, your own unique gifts. And the only way to do that is to stop looking outward and start looking inward. There is nobody else on this planet exactly like you. Nobody with your exact experiences, your perspective, your ideas, your potential. That means there is something only you can bring to the world. But when you compare, you block that. You hold yourself back. You waste time trying to fit into a mold that was never meant for you instead of becoming the person you were truly meant to be. Imagine if every great leader, every innovator, every artist spent their time comparing themselves to others instead of stepping into their own potential. Imagine if they had said, I can't do this because someone else has already done it better. The world would be missing out on so much greatness. And the same is true for you. You can't let comparison stop you from recognizing your own power. You can't let it convince you that you're not enough, that you're behind, that you'll never measure up. Because the truth is, you are enough. You are exactly where you need to be. You have everything within you to create the life you want. But you have to believe that. You have to see your own value. You have to stop looking at someone else's journey and thinking it defines yours. The way to do that is to shift your focus. Instead of looking at what others have, look at what you have. Instead of wishing for someone else's life, start building your own. Instead of comparing yourself to the people around you, compare yourself to the person you were yesterday. Are you growing? Are you improving? Are you making progress? No matter how small, that's what matters. Not how you stack up against someone else, but how you are developing as an individual. The truth is, most of the things you compare yourself to aren't even real. People only show you what they want you to see. They show you the highlight reel, not the behind the scenes. They show you the victories, not the struggles. They show you the finished product, not the years of work that went into it. And yet, you compare your reality to their illusion. You look at their success and assume they have it all figured out, that their life is perfect, that they never struggle like you do. But that's not true. Everyone has their own battles. Everyone has their own insecurities, their own fears, their own moments of doubt. The difference is successful people don't let comparison distract them. They don't waste time looking at someone else's life because they're too busy creating their own. That's the mindset you have to adopt. The mindset that says, I am enough as I am. I don't need to prove anyone else. I don't need to prove anything to anyone but myself. When you stop comparing, you free yourself. You stop feeling like you have to rush. You stop feeling like you're behind. You start appreciating where you are right now. You start recognizing that your journey is unfolding exactly as it should. And most importantly, you start focusing on what actually matters, becoming the best version of yourself, not a copy of someone else. At the end of the day, the only thing that truly matters is how you see yourself, not how the world sees you, not how you compare to others. Just you, your growth, your progress, your purpose. That is where your focus should be.